First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer.
Good morning or good evening, depending on whatever shift your seniority allows you to hold. I'm William Young, and I am sitting outside of the grocery store in 21-degree weather, waiting for these poor grocery people to bring my groceries to the car. I have a couple of questions that I was asked this week that I want to address. I'm going to take a minute to address. The first one, the one that I feel that is most important, is I had a couple of people ask me if there is any other color of hooded sweatshirt that I own, or if I only own black ones. The answer is, unfortunately, I have two hooded sweatshirts that I love, and they're both black. So I'm going to continue to wear them when I'm outside. They bring me comfort. They fit beautifully, and that's it. I do have a blue one, I guess. It's a Bronco one, but it's not a it's like a dry fit one. It's not a cotton one. So I don't wear that one as often, especially when I'm outside filming videos in my car in the winter. Okay. I hope that clears that up. So the second question, I guess the real reason that I'm reaching out to you guys today, is that I had somebody message me in response to the video I made about not caring if somebody thinks you are weak. And the question was, how do we get administration to take this subject seriously? How do you convince your administration to really care about your officer's mental health? And so I guess there's a couple of different things here that we can do, and I'll share my story on how I was able to get my administrator on board. But first, let me ask you this question, and this is the real challenge of the whole thing. How do you get other officers to care about their mental health? Because when you start talking about this subject, when you start bringing up the fact that this job can impact you in a negative manner, the comments and the conversations that you have with some line staff are crazy. They don't want to admit that this job has impacted them, and they may not even know yet, right? They may be just thinking that it's something else, that they're not sleeping for other reasons, that they have this social anxiety for other reasons, that they're fighting with their wife because their wife is just being difficult at the time, but they're not even thinking about that the job has affected them, that the job may have some sort of negative impact. And that's our fault, because when you start your career corrections, when you start your academy, they don't tell you about this stuff, right? They teach you how to protect yourself from physical dangers, and they do a really good job at that, right? And they teach you tactical handcuffing, and they teach you, straight punches and side angle kicks and spontaneous knife defense. But what we don't talk about, and what they don't teach you about, is how to defend yourself from the psychological attacks, the psychological trauma that you'll endure every day, 1,000 times more than you will have to defend yourself from physical attacks. You will be attacked psychologically. So how do you get your officers on board with that, right? And so what you need to do is you need to find a few that buy into this mental health thing, this self-care and emotional awareness type deal. Okay, so you got to get them involved, and so they can talk to other staff, and so you can kind of start this conversation, right? And then you need to research a course or a training curriculum or a peer support team or something that you're going to implement to react to this. Because once you start this conversation, right, that's part one, but part two is once you start this conversation and people start communicating with you about the things that bother them, then you need follow-up. You have to be ready to respond to those kind of things. All right, so what I did is when I was kind of down in the dumps a little bit, when I was searching for some respite for my anxiety and for I was just feeling like crap, right? I was being an asshole for no reason. And so when I found this course and I saw when it was and I saw where it was, and I decided that I was going to do this no matter what, that I was going to pay for the course myself, that I was going to take my own leave time. However this was going to happen, I was going to make it happen. That was the first thing. And so if you feel like that, if this is your kind of your Spartacus moment, if this is your crusade, then don't let anything stop you, right? And so I got all the material together, and I just so happened to be that day I was working with the current union president at the time, and so I sat down with him and I showed him the information, and I gave him my little elevator speech on self-care and why I thought it was important, and I told him it would be nice to have your support, your backing on this, but it wasn't going to stop me. I was going to do this regardless if I had the union support or administration's support or not. In my mind, plan A was for me to go take this training course and to hold these classes in the basement of my house. That was plan A. I didn't care how I was going to get this information out there. I was going to get the information out there. That was it. There was nothing that was going to stop me from doing it, right? And so what we did is he liked it, and he bought into it, and he understood the importance of it. So at that very next union meeting, I did a presentation to the body, and we spoke about it, and we made a motion to pay for the union to pay for me and another officer to go out and to take this training course, which was great. It was going to be a bonus if that was going to happen, but I was still going to go no matter what, right? So in my mind, nobody was going to stop me from doing this, right? So that following month, they voted, the body voted, and they decided to send me and another officer at the facility, and so we went, right? But in the meantime, between those two meetings, what we did is we had a sit down with our director, and can't remember who was in the meeting, but our director or warden at the time. And we did a little PowerPoint, me and the union president, we put a little PowerPoint presentation together, a little 7-minute speech about what this course was, why it was important to staff, gave them a little bit of statistics that I had come up with, because they like that. They like most bosses, most administrators, most decision makers want you to have your ducks in a row, right? They don't want you to come to them with just an idea with no way to carry that out. They want the whole plan, right? And so that's what we did. He liked it. What ended up happening was the union and administration decided to go in together to make sure that we went and we got this course going, right? Had I not presented it in such a way that I had costs, I had the importance of it, and I had specific examples related to my facility, then I don't think they would have sent me. I would have still gone, but I don't think they would have backed me, right? Because this is a difficult subject to talk about, right? And I'm not saying that administration is afraid to talk about it, because I don't think they are. I think there's so many things going on a daily basis that unless somebody is carrying this torch, then we're not sure how to address it. And so we went to the course, me and my fellow officer, we went to the course. It was great. We took it, we came back. And then what we did was we scheduled a meeting. Our executive team, the director and all the heads of all the departments, they have a meeting once a week or every day or whatever it was. But we scheduled 15 minutes, a time to do a presentation on this material. So we just took a small sample of the class, one of the parts that we thought was going to be the most impactful, right? And so we delivered it to administration. Now, this is a hodgepodge of who's, right? Some of them haven't worked the floors for years. Some of them are still involved in that. Some of them came from that. And so it was kind of a mixture. But the bottom line is we got through to them. We presented it in such a way that even people who work on the unsecure side of the facility, right, the offices, the administrators, they understood how much this job has affected them. We were able to come up with specific examples just related to them, and they could see that, yeah, this job has changed how they behave on the outside. Right? But it's a hard sell. Okay, this is not something that you can just bring to your facility and they're going to just let you do. Okay? Because you have to be very careful about how you present this information. But after that, we had officers on board because we were talking about it. We had administration and executive staff on board because they had got some of the information and they were talking about it, right? Then we started scheduling classes. Now, we didn't start right away. It took a little bit to get classes going, and that's because of overtime and staffing and there's all kinds of red tape, right? But again, what did I say at the beginning of this video? Nothing was going to stop me from presenting this information to my fellow officers, right? So I was even looking at other venues. We were talking about when we could do it on the weekends, how many people we could get going, right? I was not going to take no for an answer. It never came to that. I never had to do a class in my basement, although I would have. And after a while, we got the go-ahead and we got the okay, and we were able to get classes rolling. And so the beauty of it, and we made the classes voluntary, and the reason that you want to do that is versus a mandatory situation. If you make the classes voluntary, then the people that subscribe to this train of thought, right? The people that buy into this, they're going to come. They're going to be your first few classes. And then they will take it back and they will take that information and they will talk to other officers about this material. So by the time you get the people who don't really buy into it trickling in and out, then the whole facility's talking about it, right? And it's a culture shift, right? This isn't something that we're used to talking about all the time or used to acknowledging. So don't be frustrated, right? Don't get pissed off because people aren't receptive to this. But that was a mistake I made. I couldn't believe that I was telling people tips and giving them suggestions on what they can do to limit their stress and limit their anxiety and have a more fulfilling existence outside of a correctional facility. And they were telling me to kick rocks. They were telling me that I didn't know what I was talking about. It floored me. So don't take it personal. This is all about planting a seed, giving a little bit of sun and water and seeing what happens, right? And some people aren't going to buy into. Some people, it took months before they came back and said anything about it. Okay? That's not important. The important is providing the information, putting it out there, so people know that it's available, right? Make a resource sheet that I've talked about in other videos, right? Put your EAP information, put the National Suicide Hotline, put whatever hotline, put your email, put your phone number, whatever. Help build a support group. Bring a class such as the one that I took to your facility, right? And if you have your ducks in a row, if you are all in on this thing, if you believe in this movement, this mission, then nothing's going to stand in your way. You just got to be persistent, right? It's like listening to a singer who writes their own music. You can really feel that passion. You can feel that emotion in the lyrics, right? And people feed off of that. People respond very well to that, right? And that's what you got to do, all right? If you're passionate about it, if you know what you're talking about it, if you're prepared to knock on the door of the training department every single day to try to schedule a class, then that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. And the more people that talk about it, the better it'll get. And the more people will go back to administration and they'll say, hey, this is great. Hey, thank you. Because here's the deal. Why does it have to come from you? People are going to say, oh, administration should want to. Here's the thing. Right now, there's a lot of facilities that are at a point that no matter what administration does for them, they're not going to care. They don't want anything from administration. They are so cynical, so burnt out, so fatigued that they don't want anything from administration. So administration could present this and say, hey, this is super important for you guys to attend. This is life-saving material, and nobody's going to listen to them. Nobody's going to listen to them because it comes from administration. So administration almost needs like to be a silent partner on this thing, right? You want their support, but it's got to come from line staff. And that's the beauty of a lot of these courses is when you get information like this from other officers, from people that are doing the job that you're doing, that these people are doing every day. And so you know what they got to go through, then it means a lot more. And they listen to you a lot more than if a suit and tie guy that works on the carpet is going to come and say, hey, you really need to listen to this, right? So that's how I did it. I hope this answer helps. I know I rambled a little bit, but that's how I did it. And I think that if you're passionate about it, I think that if you have done your homework and you get a solid curriculum in place, then I think it'll be fine. I think that administration will have no choice but to take you seriously, because ultimately they want their staff to be okay. They do. There's a lot that they do that we don't care about. We don't see, we don't care about it even when it comes out, because we're so pissed off all the time, right? So I hope this answers your question. If you have any other questions, leave a comment below or shoot me a message and we'll figure it out. Okay. All right. Until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll talk soon.